Howdy y'all, it's Joe here, and here we are to talk a little bit more about those Season 2 changes. Now, of course, there were just a ton of changes in this one patch, and don't worry, I won't be talking about these exact same changes way too much more in the future. This is probably the last video on these. But anyways, today I'm going to be talking specifically about the support changes, and how this kind of will change up the support meta, as this will change it up quite a bit. Also, I'll mention the Genji change a little bit, as this does change the support meta as well. And yeah, just what's been really going on with all these changes. Anyways, let's go to the actual changes that actually happened. And the first change that I really want to talk about is Lucio. Now, Lucio's been a character that has been picked for pretty much every single game for as long as I can remember. He's just been a really popular character. And of course, Blizzard in Season 2 decided, let's give Lucio a nerf. He probably deserves a nerf finally. And what they decided to do was make so that his speed boost gives you quite a bit less speed boost. And that's about it. Now, I was actually expecting a much bigger nerf. I was expecting maybe his ultimate to have a lot more time that you have to wait in order to get it. Maybe make so his healing's quite a bit worse. Maybe make so even his chip damage worse. All they really did was change his speed boost, which, while it is a good change, especially in the upper level competitive, it really doesn't affect the lower level players that often. Low level players actually almost never use the speed boost, so I do see where they're coming from, but I feel like maybe you could have used a little bit more. Anyways, what they did exactly with the speed boost nerf was that they made it reduce from a 100% speed boost to a 70% speed boost. So yeah, in the past you used to be able to, be that speed boost augment, press E, and your entire team walks 100% faster. Now it's only 70% faster, which is actually still pretty fast. He's still a very strong character, and I'm still expecting to actually see him quite a bit, if not for the majority of games. I feel like this did change him. They did, of course, nerf him with this, but he's still going to be really playable, still going to be a very strong character. Now, to the next character that got nerfed quite a bit more, we're going to talk about Zenyatta, and Zenyatta got a really big nerf. Now, of course, with Zenyatta, again, he's been a very strong character. That Discord Orb has been very good, an extra 50% damage. As well, his Orb of Healing is just really strong. It just has a really fast healing rate, and as well with all of this, he can be attacking while healing his teammates, and while having a Discord Orb on the enemies. He just has a lot of stuff that he can do. And as well, his ultimate is just super strong right now. But with that said, he did get a pretty big nerf, and what is that nerf? Well, they decided to nerf the damage application of his Discord Orb from an extra 50% to an extra 30%. And this is actually a huge change. That's a difference of 20%. So yeah, this will just be giant. Enemy teams will take 20% less damage from Zenyatta, and yeah, that's pretty amazing actually as far as a change. Now, one big negative that I've heard a lot of people talk about is that this might actually somewhat bring on a tank meta again, or just bring on so people play more tanks, as you don't have a Discord Orb anymore that really does that much damage, and of course Mercy doesn't really have a damage boost that does that much damage. So right now there isn't really anybody other than Reaper that can take out tanks that easily. So maybe this will bring on a tank meta. Maybe they're gonna have to buff this up, or just buff other characters that can beat tanks. But other than that, I feel like this is a good change. That Discord Orb was just really annoying. And of course, I was hoping that the Orb of Harmony would maybe get a little bit of a nerf. It does have a super high healing rate for some reason. You don't even have to be healing that teammate. You just have to simply put it on them and look at them every 3 seconds. So maybe that's a little bit too strong, and that might be nerfed in the future. But yeah, that's a pretty good nerf. As well with that, though, they did buff up his normal attack to 46 instead of 40, but in the end it does the exact same damage as it did before when you have an enemy discorded. I guess if you're shooting a different enemy than the discorded enemy, you are doing a slightly higher amount of damage per second, but yeah, in the end it should do the exact same damage. And one nerf that a lot of people really aren't recognizing is that your melee actually does less damage with the Discord Orb, so that does actually hurt himself. For the majority of the time, the Discord Orb nerf really just hurts his teammates, as they're going to be doing 20% less damage to whoever your Discord Orb. But yeah, this also does affect your melee attack. Your melee is going to be doing 20% less damage than it could be doing with the previous Discord Orb. So that's a bit of a nerf. I kind of wish they buffed his melee a little bit to kind of just, react to that, but it doesn't really matter way too much. Still, it is kind of annoying. Now to the final support, and probably the support that I'm hoping to see a lot more of. We got Mercy, and Mercy is a character that I did talk about a few days ago. I made a whole video about Mercy, what I want from Mercy, and they did actually do some of the stuff that I recommended, or at least one thing they recommended, and that is that they decided to give her heal per second more healing per second. And they actually increased this by 20%, which is actually a really, really huge increase in heal per second, and now it can probably be a lot more usable. Now, for quite a while, of course, that Zenyatta Orb of Harmony, and of course that Lucio healing, it was just a bit too much. There wasn't much of a reason to actually pick Mercy, because that was good enough healing. But now with the extra 20% of healing, I feel like this will make her healing so good that it'll probably give you a reason to actually pick the character, as she'll just heal your teammates up super, super fast and just counter a lot of damage, which will be nice. And of course, just having an extra 20% of healing, You really can't complain about that. Extra 20%, and hopefully it'll put Mercy in a spot where she's played a lot more. Right now, you pretty much never see Mercy, at least in the live servers, so maybe doing that will give her enough of a nudge to become a very strong character again. I don't want her to become too OP as she was as the game was released. I want her, Zenyatta, and Lucio to all be playable together, but it is kind of nice that they did give her that change, and it's just a nice change overall. And as well with that, they did give Mercy a smaller change, which is that teammates can now move 2.25 seconds after her ulting instead of the old 3 seconds after her ulting. So yeah, what it used to be in the past was that you'd run in with Mercy to your dead teammates, you press Q, and they'd have to wait 3 seconds to start moving. Well, now they only have to wait 2.25 seconds to start moving, which isn't the biggest change in the world, but what it really does in all reality is it means that when you run in as Mercy by yourself, you don't have to survive for quite as long by yourself. Because what would happen a lot of the times is you'd run in, and you try to revive your whole team, but then the enemy team would just kill you as your team had to wait 3 seconds to help you. But now it's only 2.25 seconds, so it is a nice change. Maybe not the best change in the world, you know, I could see some other changes, maybe give a bit more damage amplification, maybe make her pistol a little bit better, something like that, but it's a nice change, and as well with that 20% extra heal per second, I feel like it'll put her in a very good spot. And then finally, the thing that's really going to make these supports a little bit better in general is the Genji nerf, and this does help all supports. Of course, Genji has been really good against the majority of supports. Actually, Zenyatta has done decent against Genji, but other than that, Genji's been doing well against the supports. But who this will help in particular is Mercy, as Mercy really couldn't do way too much against Genji at all. All she could really do was shift away, and Genji could also follow her with his own shift, so it was a bit of a problem for Mercy. But now that Genji's been nerfed quite a bit, it means that one of her hardest counters really doesn't counter her quite as much anymore, as she can shift away before Genji can finish off his one-hit KO combo against her. So there you go. It'll probably make Mercy even more playable with that. And yeah, I'm expecting to see a lot more Mercy. In general, with these patch notes, I'm expecting to see more Mercy. I'm still expecting to see quite a bit of Lucio. And actually, I'm still expecting to see quite a bit of Zenyatta, as really this nerf was pretty big, but it wasn't really big enough to make him completely useless in my opinion. It makes them all very strong characters. I'm hoping that they'll all match each other's powers. Now, the thing that I'm guessing that's going to happen the most of the time is that there's going to pretty much always be a Lucio with either a Zenyatta or a Mercy, depending on the situation. So pretty much Lucio plus Zenyatta or Lucio plus Mercy from now on. Maybe we could get some Mercy Zenyatta combos. Maybe, probably not, way too much. But yeah, that's what I'm expecting. In the end, though, with these buffs and nerfs, I do like them quite a bit. They seem very reasonable, and I'm just crossing my fingers that this doesn't create a tank meta. Because, of course, the Mercy extra healing does also kind of help a tank meta, as you can heal your teammates even faster. So, don't bring upon that, please. Don't bring upon the 3 tank meta. Anyways, that's really the only bad that I can think about this. Other than that, I really enjoy this patch. Tell me what you guys are thinking about all these support changes down below. If you like them, if you don't like them, and what else you'd want to be changed. Of course, I didn't ever talk about Symmetra, as she didn't really get changed, and she's not really a healing support as these other supports are, so that's why I didn't mention her in this video. And yeah. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed it, as always, leave a like, press the subscribe button, and have a nice day.